Both guys came back with wins. Both guys looked utterly spectacular in their last performances. Robeisy Ramirez needed that comeback fight. He got a highlight reel knockout that's going to be a career best for him. And you got Espinoza, who showed that he was not a one-trick pony. He didn't just get lucky. The guy can really fight.
Welcome into Boxing Scene's top stories here on ProBox TV. Download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind in your boxing news. Well, it's a featherweight frenzy. Looks like Top Rank has come to terms with Robeisy Ramirez. He will now fight for his WBO title against Rafael Espinoza. That's a rematch of their epic 2023 fight. First one was absolutely fantastic. Of course, Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri are going to help us break it down. Paulie, what's your thought on this rematch? Could it lead to an even better fight than in 2023? The first one was great.
Dude, I mean, it's hard to match the first one a lot of times, but when you have that kind of excitement, when you have that kind of action in a fight, it naturally warrants a rematch. You know, typically exciting fights warrant rematches, controversial endings warrant rematches, multi-knockdown fights warrant rematches. You know, this fight had a little bit of everything here, and it left you wondering and sort of gasping and sort of salivating for more, really, you know, and the fact that they've let a year go by now, and now they're getting to that rematch. It's almost like you've let the rematch marinate just enough to where you can really get more excited about it. And I like this. I think this rematch was sort of an unspoken rule that it had to happen.
Now, there was also, it was Robeisy Ramirez. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he roll his ankle early in this fight and kind of dealt with the injury the entire time to battle back from that?
Other way around.
It was Espinoza?
Yeah, Espinoza. When he went down early on,
right.
He actually snapped a bone in his foot, had to fight the rest of the fight with that injury. Also got knocked down a few times, scored a late round knockdown to pull the fight out of the fire. Absolutely incredible performance. Right? Amazing fight. Tons of heart shown by the really unheralded Espinoza. And Champ, I'm gonna agree with you. I don't always, and this is why I don't always love immediate rematches. I think there's some kind of marination time that's necessary for certain fights. Both guys came back with wins. Both guys looked utterly spectacular in their last performances. Robeisy Ramirez needed that comeback fight. He got a highlight reel knockout that's gonna be a career best for him. And you got Espinoza, who showed that he was not a one-trick pony. He didn't just get lucky. The guy can really fight. So now this fight is happening at the perfect time. Guess what? It's on the undercard of Navarrete and Valdez too, which the first fight wasn't great. But I feel like the rematch is going to be much better because of where they are in their careers at this standing. Valdez coming off big wins, Navarrete coming off some disappointing losses, moving up in weight, going back down in weight. This card is lights out. Every once in a while, guys, boxing does it right. This is done right.
Does everybody remember the Dos Equis guy? Remember the Dos Equis guy?
Most interesting man.
I don't always like rematches, but when I do, I like them with a little bit of marination time in between.
I like a little bit of seasoning on it.
Exactly. We marinate these just a little bit. This is good timing.
Chris, you call him the Bob Father. Paulie, I got to ask you, Top Rank, you know, when they put a match together, as you said, they kind of he's talked about this before. Bob Arum, of course, head of Top Rank, he goes, I know when to make that fight so it's real juicy, but he doesn't get a little too long.
He's basically our stand-in Dos Equis guy. He's the guy right there.
He is the most interesting man I've ever met, so.
So essentially, he's the one making it happen, and I think time just right. Of course, you got to give credit to the Top Rank matchmakers over there as well. They got a great staff. They know how to make those fights. They've been around for a while. For a reason.
They wrote the book.
And no, guys, Top Rank doesn't pay me. I know some of the comments said, "Oh, they just got the best fighters most of the time." You know, when they don't, when I disagree, I go out and tell you. But this is well made here. The rematches are happening at a good time.
WBC elevating Brandon Figueroa to its featherweight championship after Ray Vargas becomes champion in recess off an injury. He's going to take on Stephen Fulton. What's your thought on that fight? Looks like another excellent fight in the division. Paulie, what are your thoughts, man?
First of all, did these guys fight already?
Yeah, it's a rematch.
Yeah, and that was pretty.
Fulton won.
That was pretty right there too, right? If I remember it correctly.
Good fight. Very good fight.
That fight was a little bit controversial on its own. So again, I don't always like my rematches, but I like them with a little bit of marination in between. We're getting that here as well. As a matter of fact, the direction of the careers of both of these guys has sort of changed at this particular moment because Fulton, after the loss to Inoue, didn't have such a spectacular comeback fight. We're going to see where he's at. I don't know if you just throw him to the wolves like this that quickly after, you know, being unconvincing in his return victory, but that's what it seems like they're doing. You know, I guess this is the thing with promoters and managers, you know, you sort of keep turning the wheel. You're going to give you the time to get yourself back in. If it doesn't work, hey, man, just toss you in there and see what happens, you know. And it's sink or swim. And it's sort of like Fulton is in that sink or swim situation now. He had that win over Inoue. I mean, he had the loss to Inoue. He got sort of dominated more than we expected. Then he had the not convincing win. And you go into Figueroa. Figueroa is a rough character. And we already know that Figueroa is a rough character, even for Fulton in their first fight. A close, very close decision. And, you know, Figueroa is hungry. He's still been looking very, very destructive, energetic. You probably go into this fight favoring Figueroa.
Well, when you look at it, it's on the Tank Roach undercard. Paulie, I'm sorry, Chris, you talked about the placement of these fights, that it's showcasing the featherweight division. We talk about 175, that being red hot. Featherweight, red hot as well. Really talented fighters, all battling near the top. What's your thought on the division, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, we did a show, which you guys should check out. We talked about the featherweight ranking show, and we spoke about all these fighters.
We settled the debate.
Figueroa
no more debate,
was
right?
a guy that Paulie and I had very high on our individual lists, even though he was a little bit lower on the think tank of ProBox TV. But Brandon Figueroa is excellent fighter. This is a good rematch, but it's a little over-marinated as far as I'm concerned. It might be a little salty in terms of taste for this one, because Fulton's coming off the bad knockout loss to Inoue, has a really less than stellar comeback fight where he struggles against someone that he was very much expected to beat. And honestly, even Figueroa didn't look great in his last fight against Magdaleno, who scored a brilliant left hook to the liver knockout towards the end. But nonetheless, if both guys are degraded a degree, we still get a good fight. The first fight was excellent a couple years ago now. But yes, I agree with you, Champ. I would lean towards Figueroa in this rematch based on how they've looked recently, and just the fact that I think at a higher weight class, Figueroa still has those physical advantages of being the taller, longer guy. He's huge for featherweight too. Like he was gigantic at 22. I still think he's big for 26. And Stephen Fulton, I think, is more of a 22-pounder. He kind of showed that in the Inoue fight. And he'll be back here in another tough fight. But what else is new? Stephen Fulton's always in tough fights.
Well, it's going to be an outstanding division for at least the short term. Keep a lot of eyes on the featherweight division because it is rich with talent. Speaking of talent, of course, Tim Tszyu, his fight coming up, interview with him on ProBox TV. Do not miss his title showdown. Also, that's right, ProBox TV going to Ireland. Big deal in the UK with Conlan Boxing. We're going to Ireland for some big fights. Don't miss them.
November 1st, ProBox TV makes its European debut in collaboration with Conlan Boxing. This stacked card starts with hometown fighter Padraig the Hammer McCrory returning to the ring to take on the hard-hitting Colombian Leonard Carrillo. And in the co-main, the UK's Robbie Davies Jr. clashes with former two-weight world champ Javier Fortuna of the Dominican Republic. Live from the SSE Arena in Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Boxing superstar Tim Tszyu is coming to Prime Video. Don't miss this championship showdown as Tszyu takes on undefeated Murtaz Aliyev for the super welterweight world title. Saturday, October 19th, streaming live exclusively on Prime Video for all Prime members.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.